that, they think that, this 160, 200 million penetration is where it is. For it to be a very serious intervention, they believe, right or wrong, I have no idea, that they will have to actually go to voice eventually. Not even Indian language. Indian language won't do it either. It will be simpler to do it, to go to voice will translate, and then go to internet and do some such solution. But their belief is that that is the growth path for Google. Okay, the team. Okay, it's important, I think, at least for me, us, that when we fund, that there is a team, not one single general says that I have this great idea, not because the general cannot execute, but I believe complementarity of skills is a very important aspect of building a great enterprise. Human capital otherwise is not available because you can't hire them off the street, because yet people are not willing to take the risk. So who do you need? You need some friends, you need somebody who has the same passion, and preferably with complementarities of skills. Somebody knows marketing, somebody knows ops, somebody knows technology. And then out of the three, you figure out who is the smartest, and make that person the CEO. But this is extremely important. Their experience, background, and that word experience does matter. The question that you asked, if you have worked somewhere, I think it's important. Okay. Because it just will help you. It can't definitely hurt you for sure, unless you work for, I won't mention it. Okay? Then funding. Again, going back to the whole feasibility notion and working backwards, how much money do you need? Okay? We as seed fund are very confused. We don't give 1 rupee more than what we believe is necessary. That is not to say that we will not back you for further money, but we want people to remain disciplined, meaning that there is no money to throw. Okay? Salaries we don't want anybody to starve, but at the same time there are no market salaries available. So you must all be aware of these things before you set out and say, I want to be an entrepreneur and I will become rich overnight. It's a long journey. So again, valuation, I have a very different view. As I said, unless you find it very unfair, don't worry about the valuation at this time. Okay? Because you are going to make money 5 years from now. So what's the point? And in between you will raise many rounds which will affect your valuation in any case, your ownership. So don't get overly excited that 5% here and 5% there. But more importantly, I think, when you go shopping for a VC, shop the right VC. Money is not important. Everybody, same color. Some are poorer, some are richer in terms of their ability to fund. But pay attention to that communication during the meeting and see who will be there to help. Who are the people who will be there to help me. Don't assume that you know everything. You will need help. So it's actually, just like we pick entrepreneurs, it is important for entrepreneurs to also start thinking that when I have choices of 20 VCs, let me pick the right one. Okay? Use of fund, where will you use, etc., etc. They're all standard stuff, I'm sure Raj has dealt with this. But this is again for disciplining, as to you know what you are doing. Next year or 6 months from then, you may be spending for completely different things. But that you will do once you experience, yeah, this is not worth it, guys. Okay? Let's go sit with our advisors, so on and so forth, and rework the plan. Okay? So it's okay. I mean, we are still one IIT company that we have funded now in the 5th year, and they're, they're on the cusp. They've been on the cusp, but that's okay. That's a good thing. Many companies believe that they are around the corner, but it takes a little longer than, of course we are all, entrepreneurs means hope. And if you are not hopeful, then you should not be there. So, in the 6th year, we are still supporting that company, and hopefully in the next 2-3 months, it will become something very significant that this country will hear about. And of course, the question that the VC will ask, can I have a profitable exit? Now obviously it's not a one-way street. I cannot take a profitable exit at the expense of an entrepreneur. So this is in a sense, these slides were done by an intern, so it actually means is it a profitable exit for everybody. I'd like to say that if you are profitably exit, I will exit profitably. Of course, when you see a contract, you will die and you will think that these are truly venture capitalists, because you will see a one-sided thing. And that again I go back to look at the body language, conversations with the VCs. Contracts are made for contracts. And it will say that you will sell your soul to give me my money back. But that is okay. I mean, it's not a contract that can actually be executed. So you shouldn't worry about that. You have to say, okay, who will help me? Is the thing. Okay. So is the business, if there is some traction, it will be better. That is, there is some proof of the pudding. You will get better valuation and some assessment of technology, how you want to grow, what new products are going to add, and so on. It can't be a single pony race. Okay. Strong revenue model in place, etc. I think that's the end. So we bet on people, not trends. We don't bet on trends. We also bet on trends and regret it, but that's okay. Looking for a winner, as I said, that being at the top of the heap is very important. You should not be afraid of failure. I have failed in two of my enterprises. So what? Get up and go again till your parents beat you up. And please go and find fantastic coaches and mentors. Either you will find them in the fund, but do look out for them outside. Never think that you know everything. Please, that is my last and most humble request, but do not believe that you know it all. Because you don't. I don't. And build a team. I tell you, I come from another era, okay, of digital equipment you have never heard of. If I have seen the whole growth of the services industry, IT services, where TCS is there today and Infosys, and I have participated in that. And somebody woke me up in the night to ask a question about how to run that company. I will give that person an answer. Somebody woke me up and asked me a question about Facebook and Twitter. I will, hesitate 20 times, because that is not what I have practiced in it. But I have a partner who lives and breathes by Facebook, Twitter. I think he tries to compete also to have the largest number of followers and whatnot. But that's how you build the complementarity of the team. So, okay, so I'm done.
Why don't we take one of the questions and then I want to get started with at least a few people here talking about their life.
So, I take it much longer, I think. I get very carried away.
Any questions?
I think we are completely bored.
So you spoken about companies which where you have exited at 3x, 10x, 7x. So my question is in the upcoming region of.
Keep that mic a little further.
Okay. Is it good?
Yeah.
So my question is on the upcoming area of high impact entrepreneurship. High impact. So when you look at companies which go, where you exit at 10x, so is it a conscious decision and conscious mentoring, or it is something that just happens?
No, you build a certain economic model. Okay? So when we invest, for example, for the money we give, we take an X amount of ownership. We have an estimate of how much more money it will take. So we sort of work backwards. When I exit, let's say 6 years, 7 years from now, I would like to have minimum of 25% ownership, or 20%, some number. Okay? And we estimate if this company does what it is supposed to do, this will be the valuation. Provided the world doesn't fall apart and all that. And that way then I have committed, let's say, to my investors, who have invested me, that I will return 3x or 4x. Promise, it's just what you want to deliver. So and then you apply this, give me 30% will fail, so which are the companies? And you keep revising this model because the company's progresses will change over time. Some you thought were the heroes will become zeros. So, it's an ongoing.
Okay, so thank you very much. So, Pravinbhai, thank you very much. I think Pravinbhai brings a pretty comprehensive and unique perspective on, what venture capitalists invest in Indian entrepreneurs, especially at the early stage, are looking for. And, I think there were lots of good messages. I think going through this videotape that we are going to upload tomorrow, I think will be very important to really understand all the messages. I scribbled down at least about 20 messages that he gave, but I'm sure there are a lot more. But those are incredibly important messages that will help you once you're ready for the venture capital stage. I think there are some real gems in what you've heard. Today we don't have much time, so actually let's move the open mic to next Friday, to this coming Friday. And I've noticed that only about 30 or 40 people have got actually their ideas onto the wiki. But it's important that we get pretty much all of you to get your ideas on the wiki. And then take advantage of the open mic in order to communicate your idea effectively in 90 seconds. I would strongly urge that you actually practice with your friends. Write it down, practice with your friends, see whether they understand what you want to communicate in 90 seconds. This is called an elevator pitch. And this is what, if in 90 seconds you don't catch the attention and interest of an investor or a customer or a business partner, you're going to find that, essentially you've lost the opportunity. You're not going to succeed in trying to convince them after the 90 seconds. So you've got to learn how to go ahead and take what you want to communicate and figure out how to get the message across in 90 seconds. The first 90 seconds are the most important. So I would urge you all to actually go ahead and think of your idea and say, you know, what do I want to communicate? How am I going to communicate it? And then, you know, practice so that, you know, when you go and pitch it on Friday, hopefully you'll find a lot of people convinced about what you've done and what you want to get done with your company. And it'll be easy for you to get your team members to sign up to your idea rather than somebody else's idea. Okay, so that's all I have for today. But are there any questions on business model, canvas, or customer discovery, or how to write your idea up and so on? Any questions anywhere?
Talking to Pravinbhai today, Pravinbhai is one of the most experienced VCs in India right now. He's an on-site board also. While addressing to most of you, all of you here, he mentioned one thing. I hope the students have noticed that. He said something about e-commerce. If it is not e-commerce, and when I talk to a lot of students, they possibly seem to be coming about idea related to e-commerce only. So Pravinbhai, would you like to comment on this? Students normally want to come with e-commerce all the time. While still being in IIT, they don't come with some, real opportunities.
Let me answer it somewhat differently. This e-commerce business is kind of momentum investing. So we see in our deal flow cycle that months on end, all we get is e-commerce. We then find that people are saying no, so all of a sudden QSR, this quick service food business. So you will get bunch of those. So there is a lot of unimaginative thinking, not saying here, but I'm saying in the deep flow that you see. I think looking at my participation in Sign, I always ask, why not that you should not do e-commerce. Okay. But I think that, there are opportunities in healthcare products, there are opportunities in so many other stuff. Okay. I recently just, as a personal investor, invested in a healthcare product company, which is gynecology related. And I find this very exciting. And I keep asking whenever I go to a Sign board meeting, but why am I seeing some e-commerce thing? Because that game is over. It's not over, but today it's over. Let the internet mature. Our participation mature, because we are still dealing with 160 million, out of which some 40 million are active users and so on and so forth. That's not enough people. So, unless you have some brilliant, but there are a lot of ideas around enablement. Okay, so we've sort of funded a couple of 3 companies around enabling the small to medium scale suppliers to participate in the internet. So let the big boys worry about that. But there is this huge Powai, and there you see lots of people who have lots of stuff to sell. Okay, and think about those things. Don't think about. Think about products, think about electronics, embedded. Sorry if I sound critical, but
this is a message to everybody, to the idea generation that Raj is talking about. try to have less focus on e-commerce but have more focus on the products and the real techno idea that you all should come up with.
Yeah, we all look for, I never went to IIT or IIM. I don't know whether it's my loss or not, but that's what we look up to when we think of IITs. We look for these things. And I used to have a friend who now is who used to work for me from IIT Chennai, Madras, who is now in the Prime Minister's scientific advisory team. He used to tell me when he was at IIT Chennai that there is so much of material about people's projects, ideas and so on and so forth, but it's just sitting. You know, I mean, there is wealth of information out there which I think can turn into great ideas. Anyway, sorry about that.
I have a question. As an investor, supposing you have two ideas. One idea aimed at the upper middle class or the upper classes, possibly the smaller segment. And the other idea reaching out to the bottom of the pyramid. Here they are looking at volumes, there they are looking at possibly a lifestyle. Which one would you invest in?
Oh, very clear. I will always invest in the second one, where I have a larger customer availability. It's more difficult to execute, but my chances of getting loyalty are much higher. You know, there is a limit in the high-end thing. A, that class remains somewhat constant, and B, there is very little flexibility to increase prices. So, and again, they are very fickle-minded in any case. Customer loyalty is a challenge.
Okay, thank you very much. I think there's a class afterwards, so thanks a lot.